Good morning, my people. I hope that everyone is out and about and enjoying another day that the Lord has made. So let us all rejoice and be glad in it. Before I start my morning, I thought I would at least come out on this Sunday morning and start with good morning, my dear cousin. I am going to start my morning with a prayer. I'm just going to read it from the Bible. I'm going to stay in the Old Testament. That way I keep my Muslims and my Jewish brothers and sisters, because up into the New Testament, at least we are all reading the same word. So I'm going to start with Deuteronomy 1:16-17. The reason why is because as the riots are winding down in Washington and we're coming to a point where people outside barbecuing and line dancing, we're starting to get away from the reason why we started this thing in the first place. So in other places where they weren't watching, they were still shooting folks. A reporter got her eye put out by a rubber bullet in Washington. Another reporter there trying to save his eye. So your president has done a lot of nonsense through the riots. Deuteronomy 1:16-17. And I charge you, judges, at this time, hear the cases between your brothers and judge righteously between a man and his brother or the alien who is with him. Sounds like immigrants. You shall not be partial in judgment. You shall hear the small and the great alike. You shall not be intimidated by anyone. For the judgment is God, and the case that is too hard for you shall bring to me, and I will hear it. So I thought it would be. This is another one. I might as well read it because it's right here, and it's so wonderful. It's Proverbs 22:8. Whoever sows injustice will reap calamity, and the rod of his fury will fall. So I will send that directly to 45. So it would, like I said, hi Patrick, I always know you're going to get on here. Sherry Stenard. What I wanted to address, and I'm going to keep it short because I have 2 points I'm going to do. I'm going to do one this morning because it's short. The other one is a little longer. It's going to be on this afternoon. And it's really about the disparity of economic growth for African Americans. The reason why after 401 years, we're still fighting for the same thing. But this morning, I'm going to talk to you about the NFL and this epiphany that the head of the NFL have somehow come to. And I also had an opportunity to see the wonderful support for George Floyd by the NFL players. However, I find it very disingenuous. And this is the reason why. Let me give you a proffer. My sister has 2 godsons that plays for the NFL. They are both Super Bowl ring wearing football players. I know their mothers, they follow me on my page. So I am not trying to be down on football because I might not watch football. But my boyfriend watches football every time the television comes on. And most of you women can't get out of church fast enough so your husband could go back to play football. But I want you to go back, and because people seem to have some short memories. What happened with Colin Kaepernick? How did he get circumvented by all of this new revelation that the football players, the owners of these football teams have? The head of the NFL. See, I don't even have to remember all the names because they don't mean nothing to me. I just know that they're there. But this is the point that I want to make, and I want to hit it quick. The NFL has been going into the black community to pick the strongest, the fastest, the most agile. It's like picking slaves on the slave field. They pick the best out the field so they can do the hardest work. Except that the plantation field is not cotton. It's a football field. Because still, the Massa is making the money. And all of this epiphany, where was it when you had 45 talking about all of these football players should be fired? They had him all up in the rafters at the football game in support. Not one of these football owners came out with Colin Kaepernick. Not one of these players in this little montage of we support George Floyd, did they come out and say, what about Nick? I am wondering, how is it that now they get an epiphany? Well, let me tell you, because it's easy for us all to understand. They want us to get back to getting back on that plantation field so that these football owners can make them some money. They are losing money right now. See, the way you can get white folks to listen is hit them in their pocket. So as long as there is no football playing and no basketball playing, you are going to get some support. But I would tell you, young black brothers who are on these NFL teams, use your power wisely. At least in the NBA, they wore hoodies for Trayvon. They wore shirts for I Can't Breathe for the brother in Staten Island. You know, because you know I'm getting a little taken off because the usurping of this message does not seem to be helping the trickle down, as President Obama was hoping for, the trickle down economics. Because when I look at these football players, even after they retire, none of them have any sustainable wealth. How many billionaire football players do you know? How many football players that you know are living to older age because they have been affected by brain damage? How many of these owners found it necessary, if you're going to pull a young boy out of college to play football, that they get an effective accountant to show them how to spend their money, to invest their money? If they're coming from families who have never had that much money before, it is likely the first thing they're going to do is go out and buy their mama a house. Now, I find that is fine. Buy your mother a house because she deserves a house. She done helped you all of these years and fed you all these years, probably ran you back and forth. And the fathers, I'm not leaving you out, because y'all go to every one of your sons' football games during their Pop Warner years, through their college years, through their high school years, and now those who have had the blessing of being NFL players in their NFL years. But not every black boy that played football, no matter how great he was in college, made it to the NFL. So that 1 or 2% that have made it to the NFL and who have made some money, you would think that if they collaborated their money, by now there should be a team owned by a black man, or at least a black corporation. So I am very, very appreciative of the NFL getting this fake behind epiphany of you now understanding that Black Lives Matter, but Black lives always matter because they make money for your white asses. Excuse the French on Sunday morning. So this is what I'm saying. Black lives have always mattered where they make money for white people. But if you're making money for them does not give you sustainable wealth, then now all of that money you're making for this temporary period of time, because unlike basketball players, NFL players average no more than 8 to 10 years in the league. You cannot sustain getting hit that many times and think that your brain function is going to maintain its function. Your brain is not made to juggle around in your skull. So many of these players are leaving with not all of their, they're getting more Parkinson's disease and other types of PTSD from being hit, out there. I mean, physical body pain, joints and arthritis. Lots of things come with getting hit that many times. So I appreciate the brothers supporting George Floyd. But where were you for Colin Kaepernick? I'm not understanding that. Now, so it is making me think that, first of all, before they made this video in this great support, you were black men before. You didn't just become black men when you started playing football. You were born black. You grew up black. And many of you grew up in the hood black with no money. Not that many football players are coming, or professional football players are coming from families of wealth. Wealthy families don't put their kids out there for the possibility of dying for some brain injury. They go out, play their football in high school, maybe be a quarterback, be a star. You ain't got that many of those fools in the Patriots, and I don't even know these white boy quarterbacks, but these quarterbacks, they don't do a whole getting hit a lot. They make sure that they got folks out watching a football play to know they ain't gonna let them white boys that are throwing that ball get hit. So I'm not feeling this football support. I appreciate it being said, but if it's not genuine, if there is no real change among the NFL with the league and what they give back to the communities, if each one of these teams went back to the community where they took these young black boys from and just built that community alone, put in a better system in the school, in appreciation for this school who has educated this guy that is making me billions and billions of dollars, put back into the school that he came from. Don't just buy his mother a house and a couple cars in their driveway. Put back into the community of black people. See, the plantations have just changed. They're courts now. They're football fields now. But we're still making the owners, the Massas, the billionaires. I need you, and then put it on my page, and because I don't know everything, so I don't say about what I don't know about. But I'd like any of you to put on my page a list of black billionaire football, baseball, basketball, or any ball. Any. And I want you to put the percentage of the number of black football players, basketball players, baseball players. And if you want to go to baseball, they need to really stop talking about immigrants. Because most of the players in baseball are immigrants. Okay, so you, as Donald Trump has said, you immigrants can come here if you're going to bring your resources. But you see, the reason why Donald Trump is not going to mess with the professional immigrants, because they're making his boys some money. Because he's always talking about the stock market. Ain't none of these NFL players have no money, big money in the stocks. Do they have people on Wall Street that's investing their money so their money makes money? That by the time they get their 8 or 10 years out of the NFL, they also are wealthy independently, without ever having to play football again, without having to go on and be a commentator for the NFL. Because if they're not, then this is all for naught. So that's all I wanted to say early this morning, because later on I'm going to tell you about sustainable wealth. How we have been here 401 years and not have been able to have sustainable wealth. You've had, and I'm not disparaging anyone, but the Jews, the Indians, many of the Arabs, they have your 7-Elevens, your gas stations, what's that new car? Tesla, whatever. You know the car I'm talking about. TLSA. That boy is from South Africa, and he's being coached too by some of the white supremacists who are trying to bring him in to their fold. Because remember, I told you that there is a new white supremacist group that are suit and tie wearers. See, they can go into the boardrooms because they choose not to look like skinheads. They wanted to be able to assimilate into the wealthy circles so they can continue what they have stopped being able to do because they were wearing hoods and carrying on. They have changed their game. They've decided that, okay, we're not going to run roughshod. We're going to get our education, and we're going to be able to now infiltrate into the politics and go back and infiltrate, because that's why we haven't gotten anything done in politics, because the old heads from in the last 50 years that are still in politics come straight out of the racists. They were born of racists. It is in their blood. So they had nothing to work with in the Republican Party, no reason to help us, the majority on the Democratic Party. And you know, we get these named as if Democrat, Republican really makes a difference, because if you switch it over in slavery time, it was Republic. Now you switch it. Now the Democrats are the ones that supported blacks. You switch it. Lincoln was a Republican. Rah-rah, because, you know, President Obama always gave his props to Lincoln. But Lincoln, you know, and maybe, you know, Lincoln was bipolar. I don't know if most of you know that. He had some mental issues, but Lincoln did not own any slaves, and he did not support slaves. But Lincoln also did not believe that black people were equal to white. So as much as he didn't want us as slaves, he did not think that we were equal. So if we're going to tell the stories, make sure we tell them correctly. I'm going to keep this short so that I can then put it up on my Instagram page, because if they're too long, they won't let you put it up. So grace and peace to you. I'll see you this afternoon with some substance about our inabilities to sustain wealth that would allow us to become billionaires and millionaires. That on this list of the 400 the richest people in America, you only have 2 black. You have a 27-year-old on there. You have Twitter, you got Instagram. All of these people have sustainable wealth. Their money will make money for generations. These little plops of money that you're giving these athletes will be gone within 20 years or less of their careers, unless they bring up a child to follow them in their skill. So until this afternoon, grace and peace. May God be with you. I hope you all have had a blessed morning and a blessed afternoon. I'm going to give you time to be with your families on this Sunday, and I will talk to you later on today.